Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Doug, and you're watching the McCurdy Outdoors YouTube channel. So today's video is going to be a little bit different than normal. We're usually out riding. We were supposed to go riding to Cascade this morning. Plans changed, so instead, I thought we'd talk about the Turbo S because I haven't done a review since mile 500. I'm just under 2,000 miles, and a lot's changed, but a lot hasn't. So we're going to dig into that. Here goes. And to start it off, I'm going to go with what I like most about the Turbo S. And it always comes down to how much utility can you get out of a sport machine. That's pretty much always my number one. How much can I carry on the trail or wherever I'm taking the RZR with me? Because the more you can bring, I mean, at least for me, that's a very important thing. Whether you're bringing tools, parts, cooler, camping gear, you're camping out of it, whatever the case may be, I think that's a very important aspect of owning a side-by-side. Just how much can you bring? And with my current setup, I can put a 56 quart Plano box in there, no problem. I can put 2, I can put 4 if I really wanted to stack them up and just cinch them down. But in most cases, I bring one box with recovery gear, a little bit of survival gear, and then in front of that is my Arctic 20, and that's most cases. In the winter months, I tend to bring a lot more recovery gear, and I just put 2 of the boxes back to back, ratchet strap them down, and don't have any problems. With aftermarket, boxes like the Milwaukee, the Craftsman's, the DeWalt's, I mean, you can get very, very creative with what boxes you use, and it doesn't have to be, the Polaris OEM box. So get creative. I've found that if I wanted to camp out of it, I really could. You might put some stuff on the roof, might put stuff in the passenger seat, put a ton of stuff in the glove box, but overall you can strap a lot down or throw it on the roll cages, whatever you need to do. The only thing that I've found that's difficult, and I think it's on any machine, is carrying gas safely. I found that the best place to put gas is basically the passenger floorboard or behind the seat. I wouldn't recommend carrying gas over the bed. Even if it's in a Rotopax, it doesn't matter. It still has a chance to leak over the engine, over the exhaust. You don't want to become another statistic, and I think that's why a lot of the RZRs have burned. Well, that and the fact that they sell 10-to-1 to the competition, but that's that's a whole nother story. But I'm by no means claiming that the Polaris bed or the cab or the glove box are the biggest, but I think it's very well laid out that you can carry quite a bit, get creative, and you can take just about anything you want with you on the trail. The second thing I like most is the suspension, and the dynamics works very, very well. I know there's a lot of people that complain about the shocks or the springs or your ride height when you put accessories on or what have you. But if you dump some money into some shock tuning, some springs, that fixes everything. And as far as I'm concerned, as soon as I put the shock therapy springs on, it was a night and day difference. And that thing rides like a Cadillac now under any condition I've put it through, whether it's snow, rock, sand, dirt, what have you. It rides really well and far better than stock. Now, with the price tag of the Turbo S, the last thing a lot of people want to do is dump a whole bunch more money into it. But that's the name of the game, and that's what everybody seems to do. And I'm guilty of it too. But you dump some more money into your suspension, and you're going to be riding really good. And a third thing I really like about the Turbo S has been the reliability as far as the engine and transmission. The main components of the machine have not had an issue. All I've done is basic preventive maintenance, oil changes, air filters, blah, 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 blah. So, as far as the big issues, haven't had a problem. Any machine you buy, you're going to have small problems. And the small problems I've had were the front diff pinion seal leaked. And I don't know what caused that, and luckily I caught it early, and I had the bulletproof Sandcraft kit put on it. Another issue I had was a bad wheel bearing. I think that came from factory, I'm not sure. Replaced that. Another one is an upper ball joint that went bad. I don't know, it never broke, but it had definite signs of wear, so I replaced it along with a bolt that captures it. And besides that, nothing real major. I mean, I've hit a deer with it, and I only broke, I guess the light, the driver's side light bracket, and I just JB welded that back together, and it's been fine ever since. So, reliability, I think Polaris has really hit it on the head. I know this engine and transmission is pretty well dated by now, but it works, and it's worked really well. And on to what I don't like about the Turbo S, and I think the number one culprit is the clutching. The clutching has never felt good from the factory. I do have a clutch kit on mine that's made it feel a lot better. I've never been to the point where I was blowing belts, but I felt like I burned up quite a few of them, and the clutch kit definitely helped. I don't know if it's unbalanced, slightly misaligned, the weights are off, the spring rate's off. I don't know enough about clutching to tell you exactly what was wrong, but putting a clutch kit in helps a ton. And for those that think that you can change whatever tire and wheel setup and change the weights and whatnot, like anytime you change tires, you should be clutching just to get to extend the life of your clutch, along with blowing it out. And that's kind of a pain. You got to take all the bolts out and take the cover off. But if you want your clutch running well, I guess, like, you need to do it after every ride, especially if you're out in the desert. You're seeing a lot of dust. That dust will eat the clutch apart. But I think that's my number one thing I don't like about Polaris or the Turbo S in general. The next thing I don't really care for is, it's all situational, but the wheelbase and power. We'll start with power. Like, on a trail, the power is absolutely fine. You can't use all the power it has. But as soon as you get into deep snow, you get into sand, you go to the dunes, what have you, you're going to be noticing that you lack quite a bit of power. As far as the wheelbase, it's great when you're rock crawling, when you're in the technical stuff, if you're climbing things. But when you're wide open doing 80 plus on a dirt road or a trail or whatever, you're going to notice that wheelbase really, I don't know if it's tire choice, because when I've ran the Coyotes at high speed, it feels a lot better than it does when I run the Carnivores. And I don't know if that's like contact patch, but I think wheelbase ultimately has a lot to do with how well the machine drives at fast speed. So just keep that in mind. Other than that, like, I don't really have too many complaints on what I don't like about the machine. Haven't had any huge issues, but those are probably the two that I can highlight, or three that I can highlight. Clutching, take care of that. The wheelbase you can't change. The new Pro XP has a longer wheelbase. It's kind of similar to the X3 length. And power, you can always add power. Tuning, bigger turbo, whatever you want to go. It just depends on your budget and how much you're willing to spend to get that much more horsepower. So that's all I can say on that. So we just talked about what I like and dislike about the Turbo S. But the second question I seem to always get is the Turbo S right for me? Or is 72 inches too wide? And I think that largely goes on where you live and what your budget is. So Turbo S, whether it's velocity or the ride command with dynamics, I mean, you're probably going to be looking at least $22,000 to probably upwards of $30,000 with taxes included. So it kind of depends on how much you want to invest in that machine. And where you live, I mean, that largely depends on if you have a lot of 50-inch trails or a lot of restrictions in your state. On the West Coast, it's pretty wide open. you can kind of get away with the bigger and wider machine, whereas maybe on the East Coast or in a very 50-inch heavy area, you're not going to get away with it. You're basically limited to 50 inches, and that's that. So would a 72-inch work? Probably not. But I will say that no matter what machine you buy, whether it's a Turbo S or a Can-Am Maverick Trail or whatever, whichever machine you buy, it's going to put a smile on your face either way. And I like the Turbo S because it's wider, it's built strong, it's got a ton of power for what it is, and it suits my area very well, and it's well within my budget. So plan accordingly, do your homework, and best of luck on whatever machine you buy. I also did want to mention what I've added to the machine since buying. And the Turbo S comes pretty well equipped. It comes with doors, comes with a roof, a couple of the things that don't normally come with a new machine. But as far as aftermarket parts, I've added the seismic mirrors, I've added the L&W Fab front bumper, I've added the Viper Elite 6,000 pound winch, I've added PRP door bags, I've added the Tech 208 fire extinguisher mount and fire extinguisher. I've added a couple hooks in the bed to hold down both the box and my cooler. I've added, or I guess manufactured, my GPS mount because I still like using my phone for GPS. Not too big of a fan of the ride command. I think if you continually keep updating it, it's probably pretty good, but in the area I live in, I like using my phone just because I can use that fishing, hunting, camping, what have you, and it's mobile. It's not just stuck to the machine. I've also done shock therapy springs. I've done a Trinity clutch kit. Beyond that, I've tried several belts. The Polaris OEM, the Evo, Trinity. I think that's all the belts I've tried thus far. The Trinity seems to have done the best thus far. We'll see. I've also added wheels and tires, which everybody does. They're STI HD9s, 6+1 with 32-inch Maxxis Carnivores. I think the next tire choice I'll go to is probably the BFG KM3s or maybe the TerraMasters, I believe. I don't know. I'm kind of haven't decided on a new summer tire since my Coyotes are pretty well worn down. So I guess that's to be determined on tires. As far as what else, I have an Aftermarket Assassin's tune that I still haven't installed, and I do want to get a new exhaust. Just haven't done it yet, so we'll see if that comes in the near future. And to wrap up this video, I just want to say that the Turbo S is an absolute blast. I know I've kind of made my little quirks on what I don't like about it and kind of highlighted a few things I do like about it. But overall, the machine is very well built. It's an awesome machine, and if you take care of it, it's going to take care of you. I've beaten that thing to death in the Wahies. I've had it in close to 3 feet of snow. I've had it on ice, sand, rocks, you name it, and it keeps on running, and it hasn't left me stranded to the point where, you know, your engine's not starting or your battery's dead or your transmission's blown up. And I know that all those things can happen, but the machine has treated me very well, so I'm very happy with my purchase, and I don't foresee getting rid of the Turbo S anytime soon, even with what Polaris might be offering here soon. I mean, who's to say what they're coming out with? There's been a lot of rumors. A lot of the manufacturers, it's just like Ford, GM, and Dodge. I mean, they're all really good right now. It's only benefiting us as the consumer, and it's just a great time to be in the side-by-side community. So anyway, I want to say thanks for watching. I hope this helps. If you have any specific questions, leave them down in the comments, and I'll get to them as soon as I can. So thanks for watching. This is Doug with McCurdy Outdoors, and I'll catch you guys on the next video.